So our next topic is novel uses for metal organic decomposition inks with an emphasis on copper by Michael Vinson from Electroninks Incorporated.
Hello, everybody. I know it's right after lunch. You know, we all kind of drowsy and droopy, but I hope to keep this interesting enough to capture your attention and keep you awake. If you're next door listening to this, I can't see if you're falling asleep, so I might lose you. We're going to talk about a brief history of ink. Just everybody's been talking about ink today, so we'll talk a little bit about the background of it, the MOD comparisons. So we've heard, MOD versus particle inks already this afternoon. So we'll look at some of the comparisons of how they act. We also like to look at ink in semi-additive processes, not just purely additive processes. So it can be used in that application, special high performance additive processes though as well, and some other applications that we have been looking at. Multiple application methods that we know of, known compatible materials and use cases, especially with copper data. So writing inks dated back to around 2500 BC. We're used in ancient Egypt and China, and were made from lamp black mixed with a solution of glue or gums. So when people talk about carbon inks, they've been around for a while. Molded into sticks and dried. These were mixed with water often before using. The modern ink manufacturing considers the surface to be imprinted, the printing processes, and specific job requirements, such as color, opacity, transparency, brilliance, light fastness, surface hardness, pliability, wettability, purity, and conductivity. So today we have to look at all of these things. Electroninks has many different variety of inks to take these into account. So quick look at the difference between metal complex inks, or the MOD inks, and the conductive nanoparticle inks. MOD inks, we dissolve a molecule in solution. So you get a molecule with a metal attached to it, dissolved into solution, and then it decomposes. And then when it decomposes on the surface, it then prints out into a solid metal. The others start with a solid metal nanoparticle. There are different ways to keep these nanoparticles in contact with one another. You can usually load these inks a lot more with the nanoparticles than you can with the metal complex inks, because the particles don't have so many organics around them. And then at the end of the day, they print out. But as was mentioned earlier, sometimes you get nozzle clogging with some of the jetting techniques that are out there today. So here's a chart that I'm not going to go through the entire thing with you, though. I would like to point out that like typical thickness when you get in drying for the submicroparticle paste are like 10 to 20 microns, which are important. Nanoparticle inks only get up to 1 to 5 microns, and MOD inks are typically 0.5 to 3 microns in a single pass. So you need to keep these kind of different parameters in mind when you think about whether it's a nanoparticle ink or an MOD ink for the application. Multiple pass printing can be used for to get over many of those issues. But in terms of typical processes that's done today for digital printing, the MOD inks are very, very stable. They can be printed into very fine patterns. So what's out there in terms of products and how they can be used? For the silver, you can see that it has the largest area of use right now and the largest area of application. Platinum, gold are out there today, but with more limited application techniques, and nickel and copper are still in development. So looking at some of the applications in semi-additive processes, you find that an extremely thin layer of the conductive ink being put down has an advantage over doing thicker layers. So it's one of the things that plays well to the MOD ink characteristics. So the conductive ink going down very thin, it's cured, and then dry film resist lamination on top of that. So now you have a dielectric underneath, a very thin layer of conductive ink and dry film resist. That's exposed to create a pattern. That pattern is then developed, leaving a space open on top of the ink or the conductive layer.